The explorer, Aaron, suffered a terrible fall while scrambling in the cave. During the descent, his right hand became tragically pinned by a massive boulder. When he realized the situation, he was firmly stuck at the base of the long, narrow chasm. Aaron hauled with all his might, but the rock refused to budge, instead wedging his arm even tighter. He had to grit his teeth through the pain, trying to shift the behemoth with his left hand, but even using every ounce of strength, the boulder didn't move an inch. He tried kicking it, then throwing his whole body against it. The rock seemed as if it had simply grown out of the canyon floor. In despair, Aaron screamed for help, but the vast canyon was deserted. No one could possibly hear his pleas. Aaron knew he had no choice but to rely on self-rescue. He used a small knife to chip away at the canyon wall. He kept at it for hours, only managing to carve off a few insignificant flakes. Then, by accident, the knife slipped and dropped to the bottom. Aaron couldn't bend down to pick it up. He took off his sock, found a small stick, and gripping it with his toes, he carefully hooked the knife. Bit by bit, he finally recovered the tool. But he now found the blade had become too dull, useful only for scraping. From daylight until late that night, he scraped continuously. Aaron felt severely dehydrated. He cautiously unscrewed his bottle cap and took a minuscule sip, allowing the water to linger in his mouth, savoring every drop. His legs were nearly giving out from standing so long. He threw his climbing rope upwards again and again. After dozens of failed attempts, the rope finally snagged on a rock above. He tied the other end around his waist, distributing his body weight. At last, he could rest for a brief moment. Aaron poked his trapped arm with a knife and realized there was absolutely no feeling left. The tissue inside was completely dead. But what truly worried him was the dwindling supply. He had less than 300 milliliters of water remaining. He abandoned the idea of scraping the rock, as the blade was now flat and the wall showed no significant change. Night fell again. This time, he tied everything he owned around his body to try and keep warm. He opened his last bag of bread and ate it agonizingly slowly in tiny bites. Half conscious, he thought of his family and girlfriend, finding a sliver of comfort. Suddenly, a deafening thunderbolt jolted him back to reality. He opened his mouth wide and unscrewed the bottle cap as rainwater poured down like a torrent. But the storm quickly created a violent flood, rushing into the canyon crack. Soon, the water was up to his neck. The boulder began to shift in the current, and he finally shoved it away. In that glorious moment, he was free. Aaron jumped in his car and sped toward home, but his girlfriend coldly slammed the door on him. It turned out to be just a dream. He had already begun to lose his mind. By daylight, he drank the last drop of water, which meant any further delay would be fatal. Aaron realized he had to use the most insane method imaginable to escape. He gritted his teeth and began to forcefully break his own bones. With a crisp cracking sound, the first bone snapped. He kept prying with all his might, and the second bone soon fractured too. He laughed, a hysterical sound, to mask the unimaginable pain. After an hour of agonizing struggle, he finally succeeded. His arm remained stuck in a rock crevice. After a quick, rough bandage, Aaron took a photo of his severed arm with his camera, then turned and walked out of the canyon. Wait, a massive continuity error. Seeing the long-lost son, Aaron cheered. Following the bolts left by other climbers, he slowly lowered himself to the canyon bottom. Then he plunged headfirst into a pool, drinking greedily, even pouring water straight into his stomach from the bottle. After a satisfying drink, he refilled his water bottle, discarded all his heavy luggage, and continued on his way.